Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really big idea, one that feels more timely and honestly more necessary than ever. It's called planetary citizenship, and it's all about a fundamental shift in how we see ourselves and our place in this incredibly interconnected, yet, let's face it, pretty divided world.
So, let's just get right to the heart of it with a question. In a world that seems so focused on drawing lines on maps and in our minds, what if our truest, most fundamental identity isn't about our nation or our culture, but is actually planetary? What if we're all, first and foremost, citizens of Earth?
This whole idea of a planetary consciousness, it's not brand new. You can think of it like a seed that was planted decades ago. For a long time, it just kind of lay dormant. But now, with all the global challenges we're facing, the conditions are, well, they're perfect for that seed to finally sprout and grow into something amazing. It's a breakthrough.
So what do we actually mean by planetary citizen? Well, it's someone who sees themselves as a conscious participant in the well-being of the entire planet and all of humanity. The term itself was really brought to life by a visionary thinker named Donald Keyes, who helped spark a whole movement based on this simple but powerful belief. We are all stewards of this shared home.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. How is this idea actually showing up in the world today? We're going to explore this by looking at the One World Uniting Voices series, which is this incredible collection of conversations with hundreds of thinkers and leaders from all over the globe.
And as people looked at these hundreds of conversations, something fascinating started to happen. A pattern emerged. It didn't matter if the person was a scientist, an artist, or an activist. These common themes, these golden threads, just kept weaving through their stories. It's like they're all pointing to the same thing, a collective awakening, a shared human journey toward a more conscious way of being.
So the first golden thread is this idea of deep interconnectedness. Dr. Urban Laszlo, a philosopher of science, describes consciousness not as something locked inside our skulls, but as a universal field that we all tune into, like a transceiver. And what's so cool is that modern science and ancient spiritual traditions are starting to say the same thing. We are all fundamentally connected.
Another really powerful thread is this idea of inner alignment. Thrivability expert Michelle Holliday talks about integrating our three brains, our gut intuition, our heart's emotional intelligence, and our head's intellect. And the big takeaway here is that our own personal inner work is absolutely the key to creating a thriving world out there. It really does start inside each of us.
And this all builds toward a much bigger, more expanded identity. Costa Makrias encourages us to see ourselves as cosmic citizens, which sounds huge, but it's really about connecting our spiritual awareness with real, practical, everyday actions. It's about getting that our small, individual choices add up to co-creating the peaceful world we all want.
All right, so when you take all these golden threads of insight and you start to weave them together, they form a kind of framework. You could call them principles, but this isn't some rigid set of rules. It's much more like a compass, a guide for navigating our way toward a new kind of world, one that's built on all this shared wisdom.
And again, these principles aren't new commands being handed down from on high. Nope. They're more like reminders of a wisdom that's actually already inside of us. It's that feeling, that echo of what we know is true deep down, when we feel connected to ourselves, to each other, and to the earth.
Let's just quickly walk through 4 of the big ones. First, there's unity and diversity. This is all about celebrating our differences, not as something that divides us, but as this incredible source of creative power. Then you've got stewardship of the earth, this deep knowing that our well-being and the planet's are totally inseparable. We're caretakers, not owners. Third is conscious evolution. The idea that we're not just passengers, we are active participants in our own growth, both personally and as a species. And finally, co-creation over competition. This is a massive shift away from that old survival of the fittest mentality and toward working together to build a future that's smarter and includes everyone.
You want a perfect, real-world example of these principles? Look no further than the African philosophy of Ubuntu. It's often translated as, I am because we are. It's just this beautiful, profound, and ancient understanding that my well-being is completely and totally tied to yours. We're in this together.
Okay, so we've got the insights, we've got the principles, but what does all this actually look like in the real world? Let's take a look at how this new consciousness is moving from just being an idea to becoming real, concrete action, building a new Earth, right here and now.
And this is the most important part. These are not just some lofty pie-in-the-sky ideals. They are living, breathing blueprints.
All over the globe, you see people moving from the breakdown of the old systems into a breakthrough, creating real, tangible models for our regenerative world.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the shift that we're in. The old way, the old paradigm, it was all built on competition, on separation, on taking and dominating. The new paradigm, the one that's being born right now, is founded on co-creation, interconnection, regeneration, and stewardship. It's literally a change in our collective operating system.
And you can see this popping up everywhere in really practical ways. I mean, think about eco-villages and regenerative communities. They're basically living laboratories, figuring out how we can live sustainably. Or look at the new models for holistic education that are trying to nurture the whole person, heart, mind, and spirit, not just cram for tests. And then you have these amazing collaborative networks, like SEEN, the Synergized Impact Network Exchange, which connects innovators from all different fields so they can solve big global problems together. This stuff isn't theory. It is happening right now.
So where does all this lead? Well, it leads to one place, you. This isn't about sitting back and watching other people build a new world. This is a personal invitation for you to become a co-creator, because this whole journey, it really does begin inside each and every one of us.
Becoming a planetary citizen, it's not about filling out a form or joining some club. It's a conscious choice. It's a shift in your identity that comes from an inner calling, a personal decision to start living from a place of deep, meaningful connection to the whole.
So you might be asking, how do I even start? Well, it begins with really simple but powerful practices. Cultivate your own awareness, maybe through meditation, journaling, or just spending quiet time in nature. Practice compassionate communication. Try to build bridges instead of walls in your conversations. Figure out what you love to do, what your unique gifts are, and find a way to align that with serving the world. And finally, find your people. Connect with others on this path. You don't have to do it alone. Because here's the bottom line. The age of just being a spectator, it's over. This isn't a movie we're all just watching. The new Earth isn't some destination we're waiting to arrive at. It is a reality that we are actively practicing into existence, together, day by day.
So I'll leave you with this, a kind of living declaration. What would happen if you really claimed this identity for yourself? I am a planetary citizen. I am here to co-create a thriving world. Just imagine the shift if millions and millions of us really started to live from that truth. What kind of world could we build then?